In this video of the Better Photography Weekly Challenge, we're again in conversation with our mentor and judge for the Togetherness contest, Raj Lalwani, who will be discussing all the shortlisted images from the contest. Raj is a Bombay-based photographer who finds inspiration in the ordinary. In 2018, he was nominated as one of the 20 best emerging photographers from around the world by Doc Photo Magazine and Blow Up Press. Could you tell us what you had in mind when you were selecting the top images for the contest?
The contest was divided into two categories, as you know. It was images shot on a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, and the other category being images shot on a cell phone. However, what I was looking at while judging both these categories was irrespective of equipment, irrespective of whether it is a cell phone photograph or a picture shot with a so-called better camera, is it a photograph that speaks to me without me knowing these people? People are photographing their family. I do not know them. But is it something that speaks to me because of the emotion it carries? Maybe because of the mood that it evokes. Maybe because of the fact that it's fun and it helps me relate to that particular image. I think what I ended up doing after seeing the, I think, 500 odd images that you had sent me is I created a set which has a variety of ways of seeing. There are people who have used, say, the night, or say the lack of light, so to say, to create a mood that is very cinematic, that isn't your traditional family photograph, that isn't your traditional family album photo. There are other people who have done something conceptual. There is somebody who has used chalk, for instance, to create a story, and it's a very posed conceptual picture. While there's somebody else who's just shot a lovely moment that's happening between parents and a child. So I think the idea was to recognize different forms of storytelling, different ways of seeing, and eventually, is it a picture that that speaks of feeling, whatever kind of feeling that may be? That may be feeling of happiness, warmth, or it may be the feeling of, okay, I have no idea what's going to happen here, because it's very moody. So it is about feeling rather than just a pretty picture of someone's loved one.
So would you like to start seeing the images?
Sure. Let's see the photographs and then we can move on to the winners. So it was interesting to see that there were so many different approaches that people took. There were people who, worked with abstractions. There were people who were far more simple. And again, that's not a bad thing. Both those approaches were interesting for me to see. We can keep going over the images. I can keep talking over them through this reminded me of a couple of advertising photographs of yours, where there's a campaign in which Swapan Parekh has made a similar house with sand over there, and again that is also talking about togetherness in that ad. So I guess it's a reference, but it's rather well done. It's a very sweet picture that child would treasure when he grows up. We can keep going over the images and I can keep talking over them. This is, of course, a lovely reflection. This was something more conceptual that I enjoyed. This was quite touching in its own way. What I noticed, and you can keep the images running while I talk about this, is that sadly, a lot of people do not read the rules of a contest or the idea of a contest. And while I'm personally okay if, say, a rule is stretched a bit for the sake of a great photograph, this is a lovely moment. But the idea of this contest is to recognize the pictures that people are making during lockdown. And for some reason, I saw a lot of photographs that people are submitting from 5 years ago and 3 years ago, and people walking about. It's not safe to do so right now, but also those are not the pictures that this contest was about. So I have tried to restrict it to images that are talking about the time we spend at home. This, of course, is a selfie, but it's beautifully done. It's beautifully done. Lovely tonality. This is probably the only image I chose which is not shot at home, and yet it is showing a reality of our times. It is showing a kind of togetherness, and whoever is the person who shot this, Saurav Malik, he's obviously leading a life that is that needs him to go to work at a time like this. Uh, there's so many unspoken warriors who are at work while a lot of us are at home, and I think it's great that we even have a visual record or something like this. And this was weird and funny at the same time. So a very different kind of togetherness. These, of course, are the cell phone photographs. Some of them are not ideal in terms of pixel quality and things like that. But if a photograph works, a photograph works. If a photograph is boring, then it's just it may be shot with the best camera or the highest image quality around, but then it's 50 megapixels of boringness. So this was a picture that was a little blurred, but it's such a pure, simple, beautiful moment. I felt compelled that I had to put it into the list. Oh yeah, I think we're done with the images, right?
Yeah. Let's just have a look at the winners.
Sure. So the two winners, of course, based on the category. I still want to emphasize that even if these categories were not there, and if I was to choose two photographs from the 500 odd photographs that I saw, it would be these two pictures. Uh, they're both so evocative, and yet it's a very different kind of emotion that the two evoke. So can we see each picture in a bigger size? Yeah, great. So this was my favorite image from the smartphone category, and one of my two favorite photographs overall. And it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's obviously it is a self portrait, and it's also including a member of the family, a pet that this person obviously loves. So there is a lot of warmth in terms of who the picture photographs, and yet in terms of the use of light, in terms of the kind of composition, and the fact that the self-portrait aspect in this photograph is subtle, is the fact that you first see the cat and then you see the picture and you go like, hey, that's beautifully done. I really like this picture. And I love this. I love this. I don't know. It was at one level it's a little cliche. At one level it's a little contrived, but it is so well done. It is so well done. It is sweet. It is simple, and uh, it's subtle. If you I still am not very sure if this is posed or whether this is a moment that happened. It's most probably posed, but it doesn't look like a very contrived pose. It doesn't look like because there are imperfections within the whole thing. The way the curtain is at the top right, it's not an absolutely perfect photograph. There are the imperfections that you expect to see in a home setting. And I think what happens is that a lot of us work with post photographs. A lot of us worked with staged imagery, whether it's in terms of commercial photography or in terms of us trying to do something conceptual or trying to make a portrait of someone we know, while working with the idea of something that is staged, if we bring in some imperfection, if we don't make the picture absolutely perfect, I think it lends the image a sense of reality. And so while this is definitely pose, I would think I can imagine this as a frame within a movie, a frame within a movie. uh, I don't know, made by Gulzar or something. It's like Gulzar's Ijazat could very well have had a moment like this in the midst of a lot of other moments, of course. So that's what I enjoyed about it. It's obviously posed and but it's not contrived because of how simply it uses imperfections around it to make it more real.
Congratulations to the winners. Priya Day, the smartphone category winner, will receive a Digitech ring light DRL 18H, and the DSLR category winner, Rahul Bansal, will receive a Digitech Flashbot starter kit. Thank you so much, Raj, and to our audience, look out for our next contest.